everybody here could see that. This is one of the things about this program that's really struck me, is how this program really works with the diversity in this country. I mean, there you see, and I don't know if I need to be politically correct, a real Afrikaner and a black man, and they're just working so well together, and there's a friendship that has been formed, and a respect and an admiration for each other that is really absolutely wonderful. So well done, guys. Thanks.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Vittee. I'm with a company called Quest Staffing Solutions, and my partner is Johanna Kruger, and she is with Fairview Primary School. So just very quickly, and I know we've only got 10 minutes, why did we get, from a Quest perspective as a business partner, why did we get involved? Just very quickly, if you look at the synergy, this is our school, Fairview, and this is my business. So in terms of staffing, and when people enter our doors, many of them are unemployed and underemployed. And often we find when people come there, there is such a deficiency in terms of linguistic skills, numeracy skills, and one way to become an active citizen, it's an ethos in our organization, is to get involved at source. And that is what brought me into the Partners for Possibility. It is one program that I found that makes an absolute and meaningful difference. And you'll see as we showcase some very practical translation of our learning and how that has impacted the kids of today. So I'm going to hand you over to Honey.
Good evening, everyone. As you see there, I am a teacher at heart. And I am the principal of Fairview Junior School. And the first question, what we had to always answer is, why did we get involved? 2 years ago, I heard about it. And then I thought, maybe not. And then it was just not the right time. I have asked everywhere, especially where I have seen one of the other school principals that got involved, that there were so many changes in her school. So I have asked her, please get me involved. But the right time was never there. And last year, suddenly, there was Dina and Kay. And that was the right time. Because you know what? In the end, the whole partnership only works when there is two people that is compatible, that thinks the same, that do the same things, and that has a vision together. And for Kay, thank you. Because our vision came together, and this is our story that's going to follow.
So very quickly, just because of constraints of time, we knew that we had to almost devise a plan, and that's what we do in business. And I found it was no different in a school environment. Honey is a boss, the IDSO, she's got an MEC that looks for performance and looks for results, and we have a nation that looks for results. So we started off with a plan. I'm not going to go into the detail because of time. We said, well, who were the critical stakeholders? Our principal, very important. We know that leadership drives the culture and it does drive performance. So we focused on the leadership. I'm a little bit blind. So we've got the SMTs, our school governing bodies. These were all stakeholder groups. Our educator body, our teachers that we call them, and then the parent and the community body. I think in our learners, there's more. And then our learner body. Our business and community, our education department, our infrastructure, our learner support resources. So we took the entire spectrum of what we could influence in order to charge and take the school forward. With that, we knew there were certain interventions we needed to do, and there was no trade-off. So you couldn't say, could I just focus on the SMT? Could I just focus on the learner body? We knew there was a multitude of activities we needed to do, but how would we prioritize? In here, you'll see we've done a link in terms of what was critical priority, how would we then go about influencing that, what were the actions? And one of the things that was, at first, I was quite overwhelmed. I mean, and so was Honey. But she's an amazing, amazing principal. I've spent days sitting in a class and just thinking, my word, it's not so easy. As a business leader, I can delegate. I can talk, I've got resources, there's financial resources, there's people resources, but she is juggling glass balls all over the place. And she dare not drop one, because that one could be the future of a child. And I'm going to stop now. I'm going to hand you over. And we've just captured certain of the initiatives that we've undertaken, and Honey will talk you through some of that.
Right. When we were looking at the different things that we need to improve in our school, as well as the needs, we were sitting down, as Kay said, and we started to prioritize. And then suddenly we were overwhelmed by the information we got from workshops. So time to think suddenly put us into a time to think sphere where we had to sit down and say, okay, how are we going to use this? And suddenly we were looking at classroom rules. How are we going to have that impact in our school? How are we going to change the learners to look at their own individual friend, to say, what can I do to improve you? How can I improve myself? And then we were looking at caring, listening, and the next one was values. Certainly values. And then we start to stop and say, okay, Honey, what are we going to do with values? And then we started to implement a value program. And the value program then suddenly, we're looking at, as you look at the children, we had to start listening to our friends. We had to start caring, as you can see there. We had classroom rules, and we were contracting these learners to say, what are we doing? What are you going to do to make sure bullying is not happening? You will see us there as well. What are you going to do that you're not going to be a bully? But what are you going to do that is not bullying to you? So we were contracting them into there with the parents to say, what are you doing? Are you signing? Are you with them? Then we also had to look at classroom rules, and they have to implement that. We also had certain, okay, it's fine. And they also had certain adapter cops, certain people that were coming in to help our learners to see that they must know what and how they can be safe in their own environment. Okay, then flawless consulting also indicated to us that the SMT needs to be contracted. We stopped there, we said, come back, let's look at job descriptions. How and what are we going to do with the job descriptions? Are you happy with what we're expecting? What is the department expecting to you? And then they sat down with us, they implemented their own, what they want with what the department is expecting. And in the end, we got happy SMT members that know that they can have value to what they were giving. And there you can see also that Anna was part of it. We had to contract the teachers also. How are you going to develop? What are you going to give to the children? How are you going to make it better? How are you going to make sure that we are jumping from 45% to 55%? And that is what we've done. You also will see there then flawless consulting was helping us with the job descriptions. Accountability, they suddenly had to do their own accountability to the staff, to the parents, as well as to the learners. They had to say to them, I gave you this, what are you giving back to me? Problem solving, they had to do it with their children as well. And then regular feedback. They had to do regular feedback with their learners. What is the progress they are doing? The feedback to the JHB, the feedback to the SMT, as well as feedback to themselves. And that was flawless consulting. Then we went to community building, and suddenly we were there also in July, and then it was 67 minutes. We called in our parents, we said to them, we're contracting you, it's your school, make the best of it. What do you want to do? How you want to be implemented? What do you want to, and then what we have there is the wall where every parent that was involved, it's a lot bigger, but we just put a little bit of it in, to say that each person that was helping with the 67 minutes, cleaning, painting, gardening, everything that they were doing in the school, they had to put their hand, the name of the child and the class where the child was in. And then what happened is each child was so proud of their parents, and that encouraged again the parents, because they wanted to be also seen on the wall. And then it just developed more and more, and now we are having it again in June this year. Library project is over to Annie.
So the one thing, pardon me, the school, we wanted to advocate for learning and reading. Okay. So what we've done is we've initiated a project, a library project. It hasn't started yet. We've got to raise funds just close on to 200,000. But we do believe by November of this year, we would have implemented a full library in the school. So as I close out, thank you. There's been phenomenal input from Partners for Possibility, particularly Dina. Your coaching, your guidance, the perspective you created does not go unnoticed. The community of practice, it's a shared partnership where we've learned. I took learnings from Elizabeth School at the time. We applied the learnings in the school. The COP encouraged us in terms of learning content. How do we work with our SGBs? So all of it has just built in terms of the learning practice. So without PFP, my sense is without the learning and the application of learning, our school today is just a beautiful place where learners come to, they're proud, they're all starting to read, and we can applaud all those efforts as we build a great South Africa with a productive learning citizenship. Thank you.